guys, it's Kelly here and I am back with another video. Today I'm going to be using some stuff from Gina K Designs, this Stellar Snowflake stencil. Sorry, it's been a very long morning already. And so basically what I wanted to do here was I wanted to show you a couple of different ways to use different types of glitter with your stencils. So here I'm using my Tombow Metal Multi-Glue on the back of my stencil. I'm just going to let that dry for a second, and then I'm going to touch it with my hands just so it is a little bit tacky. This is what I do to all of my stencils so that way I don't have to tape them down. I had a friend who did this recently, and she used the broad end of the Tombow Metal Multi-Glue. I would not recommend that. Use the little one. A little bit goes a long way. So for this particular stencil, we're going to be making 4 different cards with 4 different types of glitter. Before we get too far into the video, I do want to mention, just because it's one day only, it is today, Cyber Monday. This is the last day of the Gina K sale. If you love this snowflake or anything else by Gina K, they're 25% off. Today is the last day. You have to do it tonight before midnight. And I will have that linked below. We'll talk more about sales a little bit further down. But just wanted to give you the heads up there. So here, all of my snowflakes are going to be Distress ink. So this one I just decided to do blue. I did a light layer of Salty Ocean, and then I'm going to darken up the center so that the edges are lighter. And that's just the pattern I decided to go with this time. I just really I think since oxides came out, Distress inks don't get as much love because they don't stamp well. And that's the truth of it. They really don't stamp well. But the colors are so much bolder and brighter that I still prefer them for my ink blending. And then I always do my Distress inking twice. I'm going to go back over this with all of the other colors, just kind of spreading them out and making sure I get a super good blend. And then we'll go over it the last time with that Salty Ocean. My son actually the next morning, because I had left these out to dry, woke up and was like, hey, I want to make this card. So we made it and sent it to my mom. So here, this is the first type of glitter we're going to be using with our stencil. This is a glitter gloss pen. Wink of Stella Clear, or Nuvo has one that's clear glitter. This one I do want to warn you. So the price point on this is about $8. They're pretty much on sale everywhere right now just because of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. But if you're watching at any other time, price point's about $6 to $8 depending upon where you buy it. I think scrapbook.com was the cheapest place that I saw it. But this, because Distress inks reactivate with water, you can, if you're not careful, and I really was not, I'm going to be honest, you can activate the pigment in the Distress ink and it can slide underneath your stencil. So just be aware of that. You may decide that you would rather go over that with the glitter once the stencil is off. That's also an option. I did not do that because, as you can see here, I wanted to outline my snowflake. I wanted it to have a very defined edge. So I'm just using a regular, this is just like a Papermate pen that I had that just happened to be the right kind of color to match that Salty Ocean. So I will be just going through outlining all of that. Some people, this may not be your thing. It would look fine. It would still have a defined edge without it, but I just like, having that bold edge. And then you can see it's just a little bit of shimmer here. So this is the least amount of glitter that you will get with the products that we're using in today's video. Moving on to the next one, I am just going to move my stencil up into the left-hand corner, just so that they all look a little bit different. I am going to mask this bottom edge. I looked for my masking paper, which is what I would normally use. I could not locate it. So I'm just using some Post-it notes. That will work as well. I've picked another couple of colors. This one's going to be more of like a pinkish purple. And then for this one, again, I will put down a layer of the lightest color, which for me is the picked raspberry for this one. And then instead of going from out to in, like having the darker spot be in the center of the snowflake, I'm actually going to have that be the lighter portion and add my darker colors around it. So as you guys know, this is a longer video, we're gonna interject story time here and there. So I moved. It's been crazy. So I took off Wednesday, Thursday was Thanksgiving, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Here we are today, Monday. And it took all of those days to get it, and we're still not done. Like, let's be real. You don't know how much stuff you have until you have to pack it up and move it. Because I just had stuff coming out of stuff coming out of stuff. And I was like, where did this all come from? This house isn't even that big. We did talk briefly on the other video. I don't think that I mentioned it. Several people have asked about Eric moving in because they were confused about the comments that I made. Eric and I bought the house together. The intention is to live here together after we are either engaged or married, which we are not now. Back to the video. So the next kind of shimmer that I'm going to add is a spray. This one in particular is the Hero Arts White Iridescent Spray. And I'm just spraying it off on the side there so that I can start to get that fine mist. If you spray it from farther away, it's going to be finer than if you spray it close up. And then I'm just going to blot up any of the extra so it doesn't run underneath my stencil. The price point on this is, again, about $6. And I do like this. I use this in place of my Perfect Pearls a lot if I can't find it because I just take the nozzle out. This is definitely a little bit more shimmer than the gloss pen, but it isn't necessarily as level because it is a spray. I'm fine with it. I like all of these products. Let me just be clear there. I love all of them for different things. I just wanted to give you some options as we're coming up into the holiday season of what maybe might work for you to add a little bit of shimmer, a little bit of shine. Now, you know I don't need the holiday season to add my shimmer and shine. I add it all year round, but just in case. So here I had just a very little edge that was hanging off. I masked that. I'm going to be mixing my purples and my blues with this one. I think this is probably my darkest snowflake, and I just kind of went in I think it was like an ombre order. So you can do these however you want. Like the possibilities are endless for how you mix them. So back to the house thing. So Eric and I bought the house together. The intention is to live here together after we get engaged or married. Some of you might wonder why we bought a house together and are not living together now. Let me tell you why. Because I have very firm thoughts on that. So when I got married the first time, my ex-husband, I would not live with him until we were married. I did not think it wasn't something that I wanted to do. No judgment if that's what you did. Everybody's lives are different. But I just did not want to do that. And now nothing's changed. I still don't want to do that. But it's different because now I'm setting an example for Peanut. So I cannot very well tell him when he's, in his 20s, don't shack up with some girl and start living together if I am doing the same thing. And I would prefer if when he gets older that he does not do that. Again, no judgment if that's what you did. My siblings, family members have done that, and there's no issue, but that's just me personally. I don't want him to find himself in a situation where he is living with someone and feels like, I've had so many friends just feel like they're trapped or they can't get out or they can't afford to live on their own. Plus just the morality of it. I would prefer if he was married before he lived with a woman or man, if that ends up being his thing. Totally cool with that as well. But anywho, so that's that. Third type of glitter is stickles. This is going to be the cheapest option and one of the more glittery ones. So I use Stardust stickles. That's the preferred stickles that I have. I have a bunch of other ones. Honestly, I never really used them. I just like the things that are shimmery, that are clear or glittery, or that I can use on everything. And Stardust stickles pretty much take on the color of the thing that they're on. So for this particular type, it's going to be the Distress ink, but if I put it on cardstock, it would take on the color, whatever medium you put it on, it's going to take on that color. Now, this is a little bit more time consuming because you're, applying this glitter glue to everything. I did not have any issues with it leaking under the stencil, so that is a side benefit. And it is super, super glittery. I just went through, I've had this bottle, a bottle lasts me forever, and the sale price that I saw for them, which was again at scrapbook.com, was $1.60. They're $2 normally. So it's a super cheap medium to add glitter that works really very well. So I'm just going to remove the stencil here. These do stay wet longer, so just FYI on that. But it came up super clean, and you can see just it's so glittery. I love these things. So if you're on a budget and willing to put in a little bit more time, I would absolutely recommend using those. The last type of stencil that we're going to be doing is the Glimmer Paste. And so this one is definitely the most glittery option. It's also I think these run like between $6 and $8 depending upon where you shop. Tonic is having a sale right now for their Cyber Monday, and I can't tell you what percentage because theirs are all different, but I would highly recommend checking that out as well. Here I wanted to do a different type of, I wanted them to look slightly different. So I'm using the picked raspberry and the salty ocean. I love doing this technique where you put the glitter on top of it and it looks almost like color changing because you have the different color families underneath it. This is a wonderful technique. I totally love it. And then I'm going to put down the seedless preserves in the middle to really just bulk up that purple. If you don't have a purple or the seedless preserves, you could totally just have the pink picked raspberry meet the salty ocean and it would create a purple. I just wanted a little bit of a deeper color. But if you don't own them, you can make this work with two colors, 100%. So once this is done, and again, we talked about doing it twice for that bolder color, I'm going to leave this tape in place, and then I'm going to use the Moonstone Glimmer Paste. This is, again, the clear version. They have a bunch of colored versions, which are all really very beautiful. There's tons of glitter in these pastes. So would definitely recommend them. It's going to look like it goes on white at first, but as it dries, you can really see the color underneath that. And I'm just going to put this on with a spatula. I'm looking for a thinner coating, just because the thicker it is, the longer it takes to dry. You can make this as textured or as smooth as you would like. But when you put this on over the Distress ink, it will pick up some of the pigment. So just be aware of that. If you're gathering up any extra to put back in your bottle, it will be slightly tinted, just so you know. But yeah, so back to the move. The move's been crazy. We did finally get everything over here, but because, so like we had to clean here to move in here. And then we have to clean the rental because it's a rental and I don't want to have to, lose my security deposit or pay for anything else because they, bring somebody in to clean it. So actually that was today. I was going to go over there and start cleaning. And Eric was like, listen, it makes more sense for you to be here unpacking stuff because we're at the point where everybody needs you to be the one to do it. So here's just a recap of all the glitters. We have the glitter gloss pens, the sprays. Now I use the Hero Arts one, but I also really like the W+9 one. They have a glitter spray as well. The Stencils, and then the Glimmer Paste, which again, I used the Moonstone, which is the clear, but you could use any of them and they're all stunning if you're looking for a more like opaque color or not to use them with Distress inks. So that is where I left off the first night. Now these are all dry. I went in, this is a Xyron adhesive eraser. And I'm just going to go in and like I feel with my hand for any sticky parts that might have been left over from that Tembo Mono Multi Glue in the back of my stencil. And then I just erase those. You don't want to rub them off with your finger because there's naturally like dirt, makeup, things like that on your finger that will leave a mark on your paper if you choose to do it that way. So an eraser, even if you don't have an adhesive eraser, a white eraser will work as well to get rid of that. The Xyron eraser just works a little bit better and is a little bit faster. So just checking those out, and then I'm going to move on to the sentiments. For the sentiments, I cut little strips of paper. So I have a charcoal, a navy, like a royal blue, and a black. And I'm just going to line all of these up in my Misty. I'm going to treat each one of them with my embossing bag because I'm going to do some white embossed letters. There's a bunch of different sentiments in this particular pack, which is awesome. And they're not all like Merry Christmas. They're, you know, Happy Holidays, Peace, Love, Joy, Wishing You Joy. It's a really good set for just really, honestly, the winter months, I guess. So I picked out a couple of these. I opted to just stamp them all at the same time because I thought it would be faster. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would not do this, or I would only do 2 at a time. I did seem to have a little bit of trouble getting a good impression on 1 or 2 of them. So I'm just using the Nuvo Clear Mark. This is the embossing ink. It's very similar to a Versamark or, you know, something along those lines. It's just a clear sticky ink for embossing, and I'm too lazy to re-ink my Versamark, so I've been using this one. But yeah, so packing, unpacking. So he's over there cleaning because he said it made more sense for me to be here unpacking. But then last night was Peanut's first night in the new house, and he didn't sleep really great. I tried to leave him alone. I tried to let him do his own exploring and find his own comfort level and put himself to bed. Like, I still did the normal, like, tuck him in and all that jazz. But then I was trying to, I could hear him moving around in his bedroom and, you know, touching his things and playing with some toys. And I was like, tonight's not the night to make a thing of it. Like, I'm just going to let it go. Because it's a new house and he's getting comfortable. So he did eventually put himself to bed. But then last night at about 3:15, he woke up. And so I went in there, rubbing his back, was laying with him, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, he was just wide awake. I don't know what woke him up, but he was just wide awake. And then, so finally, after, you know, trying all of that, I finally was just like, do you want mommy to go back to her bed and you can try to fall asleep? And he said yes. So then this morning when I asked him if he was up long, he said no, that it didn't take him very long to fall back asleep. So I might have just been in there being a distraction. But so needless to say, I have not gotten a ton done today, because I had to catch a nap because, you know, I didn't get back into bed until, what was it? 10 after 4, 4:15. So here I'm just trimming these down, into little panels. And then, I am going to, pretty much I adhere them all the same way because they're all the same type of sentiment. This would be a great card set if you do that for like friends and family, if you give them card sets. But I'm going to pop all of these up on foam. So for some of them I just did 1 strip. For some of them I cut them. It just depended on how long the strip was that I ripped off. Like, let's be honest, I'm not going to go backwards and try to get an exact piece when I can just cut it. So for the center one, I put it just in the center there. That made the most sense to me. I really love this stencil. I think it's beautiful. And so when I got it, I started playing around with it. And then I ended up with this just based on the first way that I messed around with it. For the ones that were more like center focused, I had a harder time figuring out where to put the sentiments. Molly is barking. You'll probably be able to hear that. There must be a burglar or a squirrel in the backyard. You know, it could be either or, let's be honest. So I'm just going to put this down again in the center. That just seemed like the place that made the most sense for me on the center ones. I did kind of offset them, like they're still center based, I guess, but I did offset them slightly for the ones that are on the side. And then for some reason I must have trimmed them slightly smaller, just based on the sentiments. These ones I had to cut the little foam pieces in half. So still working through the process of unpacking everything. The craft room is like half unpacked. I'm hoping to be back to making videos soon. My problem is I need shelves for my lighting in order to make them well lit. And so we decided to leave the shelves at the rental pretty much because I didn't want to fill the holes. And so we're waiting for the new shelves to arrive. They're supposed to be here in 2 days. I may have found a workaround in the interim, but I do have some other videos that I could edit and voice over, so we won't be without each other for that long. So here, all of the sentiments are done, and I decided that they did need a little bit something else. So I'm actually going to use some clear, I think these are the iridescent rhinestones from Honeybee, which also has sales going on. We didn't even talk about that. So I have a sales page. We talked about that before, and I did update that with the Cyber Monday deals. Most of them are just through today. There's 1 or 2 that are through the 3rd, but that's about it. So Honeybee also has one going on if you want to pick up these rhinestones or anything else, because honestly, their stuff's super cute. And then I'm using the Gina K Connect glue here. I like the ones with the smaller nozzles. This one has a smaller nozzle. The Hero Arts has one that's really good. So does Lawn Fawn. So that's all of the cards. That's them completely finished with all of their little rhinestones on them. For the most part, I just accented the sentiment. For the one that was in the bottom, I actually did it kind of like they were snowing down on top of the snowflake. I really like that one. And then that's it. Those are all of the cards. So I hope that you guys found some sparkly inspiration for the holidays coming up and something that you think will work for you. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.